The Royal Dutch Shell subsidiary in Nigeria has been ordered to pay unspecified damages to farmers for the 2008 oil pipeline leaks in the Niger Delta. A Dutch appeals court has ruled that the company is responsible for the leaks and the subsequent contamination.
The Dutch appeals court says Shell Nigeria is responsible for the damage caused by the oil leaks. It has ordered reparations for the 4 farmers who brought the case before it. The appeals court ruling went a step further than a 2013 ruling by a lower court. It blames Shell Nigeria for the multiple cases of oil pollution in the area. It also says Shell Nigeria did not prove beyond reasonable doubt that the oil spills had been caused by sabotage rather than poor maintenance.
In al deze zaken oordeelt het Hof dat Shell Nigeria aansprakelijk.
In all these cases, the court finds that Shell Nigeria is liable for the damage caused by the leakages. Shell Nigeria is ordered to compensate the farmers' damage, and the amount of the compensation must still be determined. In the Goy cases, Shell Nigeria is also liable because it did not shut down the oil supply on the day of the spills. In the Oruma cases, Shell Nigeria and Shell parent company, Royal Dutch Shell, are ordered to provide the pipeline with a leak detection system so that environmental damage can be limited in the future.
Zodat in de toekomst milieuschade kan worden beperkt.
The court did not, however, hold Shell's parent company directly responsible, but it has ordered it to install a leak detection system on the Oruma pipeline, the site of a significant number of spills in the case. Although only Shell Nigeria's subsidiary was found responsible, the decision could pave way for more environmental cases against the company. A lower court in The Hague in 2013 said Shell's Nigeria subsidiary SPDC was responsible for a case of oil pollution and ordered it to pay damages to a local farmer. Outside court, the members of the environmental lobby group Friends of the Earth welcomed the court ruling.
This is fantastic news for the people, the farmers in Nigeria, their families and their communities. Up until an hour ago, people in developing countries were without any rights when confronted by multinationals such as Shell, and from today on they know they can get their rights in the Netherlands when confronted by the destruction of their livelihoods by a Dutch multinational, in this case Shell.
Friends of the Earth brought the case together with 4 Nigerian farmers in 2008.
A little earlier tonight, we spoke to Dr. Godwin Uyi Ojo, who's the Executive Director of Environmental Rights Action Group Friends of the Earth in Nigeria, to hear a little bit more about their victory and how they intend to exploit this ruling to pursue similar court matters.
In Nigeria, court cases last a lifetime. And then people who start court cases, they die off and then they don't see the end of it. But we are very pleased and happy today in Nigeria that the court in The Hague has given a ruling judgment for the 4 fishermen whose farmlands and fishy ponds were impacted by crude oil spill by Shell since 2008. And this ruling is very significant because it opened a floodgate of court cases against multinational companies. And it's very important because it is victory for environmental rights action, victory for civil society groups that will be supporting this process, especially Milieu Defensie, Friends of the Earth, Netherlands. And indeed, it's victory because it's Kensariwa legacy that has been reinforced. It's victory for the Niger Delta, it's victory for Nigerians, and victory for the entire African continent against multinational companies.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more about the court case and the journey, but let's go back to what the fight was about. Tell us about the environmental damage and the losses that the farmers in the Niger Delta had to endure as a result of these pipeline leaks.
Since oil exploration started in Nigeria in 1956, the region have known no rest whatsoever. Frequent oil spills and frequent gas flaring that destroys the people's farmland. In the case of these 4 fishermen, their farmlands, cassava farm, crops were ruined, and then their fishing ponds, a natural fishing pond that is dependent on floodplains. These were destroyed, and this represents national kind of income, yearly income for the people. And what we see consistently is that the oil spills and gas flaring continually assault the livelihood of the people. So they have suffered immensely. They have waited patiently for the past 13 years. And now from the appeal court, we are very pleased that judgment has been delivered. And of course, the litigants are very happy. You know that 2 people died in the process of this court case, and then other people have to join. So it has been a very rough road. When you take oil companies to court in Nigeria, they smile and they are happy because they know that the court case will last a lifetime. But now that is taking place in Europe, in the Netherlands, more court cases will open up in the process because we see this as opportunity. It's a day of hope. It's a day of succor for the people that have been suffering this impact all these years.
The Niger Delta has seen some unrest over the years, and the Dutch oil company put forward that, hang on, some of these leaks actually were sabotage. Is that possible, or would you say the majority of these leaks were just bad maintenance?
Well, when you come to the Niger Delta, the issue of sabotage never arose many years back. Sabotage is only recent. But what we quarrel with is that all spills in the Niger Delta is being ascribed to as third-party spills caused by the communities. This is falsehood that is completely sold out by the oil companies in order to criminalize the people. When you criminalize them and say they are responsible, then Shell escape from liability. They escape from its responsibility. So that is why the lie is so huge. And today we are so happy that the local communities have been vindicated. ERA has been vindicated that in this particular incident, the case of sabotage did not arise at all. And we are very pleased with the judgment.
If I'm hearing you correctly, are you suggesting that the Nigerian authorities were partly a problem in your constituents getting some justice?
I think when it comes to issue of access to justice by poor rural communities against giant multinational companies, the access to justice is questionable in Nigeria against weak environmental laws, lack of political will, and lack of compliance. So these are key elements that hinders. I think the federal government, with all its efforts, with all its impact, is unable to bring transnational corporations to account for their human rights violations. That is the situation we are in today.
Royal Dutch Shell is a Dutch company, and they were arguing that they can't be held responsible for the actions of a subsidiary in a foreign country. But this court case in some ways has dispelled that.
Yes, it's a landmark judgment, and a lot of precedent will take place. Shell is fond of legal somersaults, and they also argued that the action that has taken place in Nigeria, whatever the atrocities they committed in Nigeria, cannot be tried in the Netherlands. So they are always out to look for loopholes, technicalities, to escape justice, to escape cleanup of their mess. And that is why this case, for example, has lingered on. They have been less than cooperative. But we see the resilience of the people, and of course the resilience of the court system.
Do you think that this could be a warning to other oil companies? Because we've seen over the years where these oil giants can get away with quite a few things in Africa that they'd never be able to get away with in other parts of the world. And, you know, the number of spills just in the Niger Delta, just one of those would have been a problem in other parts of the world.
This is exactly why we welcome the European Union due diligence mechanism that hold corporations into account, especially partner countries and their subsidiaries. They are to subscribe to the same rules and regulations. Because all over Africa, Nigeria without exception, shell and transnational companies, they practice environmental racism. Because the standard they deploy in Europe is very much different from the standard they deploy in Africa, in Nigeria. So we see a high level of environmental racism. And with this kind of court judgment, the doors are open, and due diligence from European Union and, of course, cooperation from the Nigerian government and Africa, we see that environmental degradation, human rights violations that have gone unaccounted for will be a thing of the past. And don't forget, the global civil society groups are also making a huge effort to bring about, through United Nations, a global binding environmental treaty to hold corporations accountable on a global scale for their environmental human rights violations. We look forward to that, and we are very pleased with the development.
This legal journey began 12 years ago, and a lot has happened to get to today's court judgment. What is the situation like in the Niger Delta in the intervening years? Has Shell improved their record in the Niger Delta? Has the environment been cleaned up in some way?
The environment has grown from bad to worse, and the people's, their livelihood, their welfare have also grown from bad to worse. But what is surprising is that while Shell continue to make profit and laugh to the banks, the community people, the life mortality rate is reducing, and the people continue to lose people, and they cry to mortuaries. This will tell you the state of situation in the Niger Delta. Life is short. Life expectancy is low. And Shell's record, at best, has been in its image laundry, where it is able to invite spin doctors, and they spin out lies. They haven't changed one bit. There is no iota of evidence that Shell's operations have changed for the better. OSPs are still being regarded as caused by criminal elements. Integrity tests of the pipelines are not conducted at regular intervals as required. It will surprise you that pipelines, crude oil pipelines have become ancient, some 20 years, 15 years, and these pipelines have not been changed. We have all sorts of spills on a daily basis. Many of these spills are unreported. It's only the big mega one, the profile cases that you hear about. Every day there's frequent oil spills in the Niger Delta. As we count, our last count, about 20,000 oil spill cases, and none of them has been effectively cleaned up. This cannot continue.
Dr. Ojo speaking to me a little bit earlier from Nigeria.